Okay, I'll put the setting. Scranton, Arkansas.
Okay.
What's it, about the 15th of September?
September the 15th, I believe.
Yeah, 1977, right, okay. Yeah, Zane, do you want to talk about how you got into steel guitar and, you know, just a general sort of rave about that?
Well, okay. Back in about 1947 is when I actually first began to learn to play the steel guitar. Of course, at that time it was without pedals. And I met a fella by the name of Ray Noren, N-O-R-E-N. And he was quite a steel guitar player, even back at that time. He's the one that really got me interested in learning to play the steel, and of course I learned to play from him, and then I started playing professionally in about 1948.
What was your first guitar that you played? Do you know?
The first guitar I played belonged to this fella Ray Noren, and it was an old Nashville guitar.
How many strings?
It had 6 strings.
6 strings.
Just a 6-string lap job.
That was an electric.
Yes, electric.
Yeah, right.
And,
what sort of music were you playing then, or who were you into? Who were you listening to?
well, we were listening to Jerry Bird, the old master, you know.
Yeah.
Of course, he was playing at that time. He was playing a C6 tuning, and that's what we were playing at that time, C6. And about 48 or 49, Ray and I came across the 13th tuning, the 9th with the added 6 tuning that I play now. And of course, at that time, the 8-string guitar was, you know, coming in.
Yeah.
And I had a double neck guitar at that time. It had 8 strings, and it was a National.
Right.
And I had C6 on one neck, and I had that D 9th with an added 6 tuning, or you could call it a D 13th tuning on the other neck.
Right.
And of course, Ray had the same thing. In fact, he's the one that got it first. And we started playing those 2 tunings, and it wasn't long, probably within another year, till we both of us went to the 13th tuning.
How did you discover the 13th tuning?
Well, it was, we didn't discover it, actually. It was, the tuning had been used by some of the players in the United States, some of the older players, you know.
Yeah.
Like Herb Remington and Leon McCullough, Noah Boggs, Joaquin Murphy, Speedy West. Those guys were using that tuning, you know.
Yeah.
And that's where we first heard it.
Right.
But they only had 8 strings, and of course, later on, you know, I took the tuning, and everybody else quit using it, and I just kept using it. Of course, Ray and I both used it, and I kept adding strings to it until I finally got the tuning to a 12-string tuning now, and with the pedal setup that I use, you know.
When did you actually develop the 12-string tuning? By what year were you using 12 strings?
About 1960.
1960. You were using what, 10 strings in between then?
10 and 11.
10 and 11.
I went to 11 strings. I then I went to 11.
Yeah.
And it was through the 50s that I developed from like 8 strings to 10 and 11. And then it's about 1960, I went to 12 string.
When did you start first using pedals?
Well, I built the first knee pedal in about 1948 on a guitar and put it on Ray Noren's guitar.
Right.
And I just put one knee pedal on it. It was on the right end of the guitar, and it was more or less a direct hookup. It just pulled one string. It raised one string. It raised the C sharp, like C sharp to D on like E9 tuning.
Yeah. Did you? Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Did you have any like? That's pretty early for pedal arrangements like that. Was there any? Were people amused, or they? How was it received when you?
Well, actually, the pedals. After I made that knee pedal, put it on Ray's guitar.
Yeah.
A few months later, I put 4 pedals on the floor on my own guitar.
Yeah.
And I was playing with a Western swing band in Louisiana. And I took the guitar out on the job, and of course the band leader just had a fit. He said, "I ain't gonna have that." He said, "Man, I don't want that stuff on that kind of guitar on my band, you know." And he told me to take them pedals off. I was going to work for him. So then I took the pedals off of it on the floor, and then I put knee pedals on my own guitar. I put 4 knee pedals on it. And of course that's how I kind of started playing pedals. First I played knee pedals because the band leader wouldn't let me have the floor pedals.
About what time was this? About what year?
This was about 1950.
Right. Anything further to add about that?
Well, of course, Jimmy Day, I don't know if you ever heard of him or not, you know, but he's a pretty popular steel player over here in the United States. And I've known Jimmy for, well, ever since about 1950. And of course in Shreveport, Louisiana, that's where he started out, playing down there on that Louisiana hayride, he and I both. And of course Jimmy hasn't been playing quite as long as I have. And he found out about my knee pedals I had on my guitar, so I put him 4 on his guitar. He had a triple neck Fender, and I put him 4 knee pedals on it. Of course, he went to Nashville later in the 50s with Webb Pierce, and he took that guitar over there with him that had the 4 knee pedals I had put on it for him, and of course he took the D9 tuning with him along on that guitar and introduced it in Nashville, and also to Buddy Emmons. Buddy tuned it up to E9.
Oh, so you were basically playing, you weren't playing an E9 originally, you were playing D9s.
D9, right. And
yeah.
That's what Jimmy Day played too. See, when he went to Nashville, he played D9, and he played it like that for years. And of course Emmons, he went to the E9 tuning, and he had a lot of followers, you know, that also played the E9 tuning, you know. Of course, I play the E9 myself now.
Yeah, right. This guy, Webb Pierce, wasn't he the one who cut slowly with Bud Isaacs? Or am I mistaken?
Bud Isaacs, right. Bud Isaacs recorded slowly with Webb Pierce, right.
And that was about 53, I think.
Yeah.
So there's a link up there too.
Yeah, that's right. Even though Jimmy Day was playing steel with Webb and was playing the D9 tuning, Jimmy hadn't been playing all that long, you know, at that time. And I guess that's why that Webb used Bud Isaacs on his recording session, even though Jimmy Day was actually his steel player with his band.
Oh, that was at the same time.
Yeah.
And that was all the rest is history, because Bud Isaacs had that.
That's right.
What's name with the sound of pedals? Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, you don't want to forget Bud Isaacs because he had a lot to do with the development of the pedal steel, you know, in the early days, and he had a style of playing, and he introduced that style of playing. Although he didn't have that high note, that high G sharp, on his tuning, and he still don't use it, I don't think. And Jimmy Day, he did have it on his, you know.
When did you get into building steel guitars?
Well, about 1958, I went to Nashville, and I was working with Billy Walker, and of course I played the Grand Ole Opry with Billy, and then I got acquainted with Scott Jackson, Mr. Sho Bud, and I started working out there for Shot in the Sho Bud factory there in Nashville, and I worked there in 59 and part of 60, and then in 1960 I moved from Nashville to California, and I was out there for about a year, and in 1961 I moved to Phoenix, Arizona, and that's when I got into the guitar manufacturing in 1961.
Is that where ZB was formed? In Phoenix?
That's when I first built my first ZB pedal steel guitar, and I built one there, and I met a guy out there by the name of Davey Musgrave, and of course Dave was playing a Sho Bud, and he wanted me to build him a guitar for his own personal use, and that's how he got me started in on the ZB. And in trying to build him a guitar, I developed the ZB guitar, you know, and also the double raise, double lower tone changing unit that I put in that guitar. And I built one and played it there in Phoenix for about 6 or 8 months.
Yeah.
And I'd been playing it in the club, and man, there's no telling how many pickups I'd wound and put in that guitar, you know. Well, I had the pickup in it though at that time that I was pretty well pleased with, the one that's still in the ZB guitar. And Tom Brumley with Buck Owens came to Phoenix, and somebody told him about my guitar, and Tom came over to the house and spent the whole day, and he played that guitar for 3 or 4 hours, and he wanted to know if he could take it down and play it on the club with Buck that night. So I had to change the pedals around for him on the floor, and he took it down and played it for Buck, and the guys in the band just thought the sound was out of sight, you know. And Buck talked to me and said that he'd like for me to build one of those guitars for Tom. And I built one, and about 30 days later, and sent it to Bakersfield. And Tom Brumley took that guitar and went to Las Vegas, Nevada the next week with Buck, and they was playing out there, and then some other guys seen the guitar in Las Vegas, and 2 or 3 weeks later I had 3 orders in the mail. Guys that just send their money in to me and say they wanted a guitar like Tom Brumley had. And first thing you know, I found myself in the guitar building business, you know.
The double raise, double lower mechanism, up till then, what was the usual thing as far as?
Well, of course, the Fender company had a single raise, single lower.
Yeah.
The old Fender, you know, I think they call it the 800.
Yeah.
It was an 8-string guitar.
Yeah.
And it had the single raise and single lower pulling mechanism in it.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, Sho Bud at that time just had the signal, just a straight finger coming down. And in order to lower a string on the Sho Bud in those days, you had to do that from up under the guitar and change the mechanism, you know, and tune it under the guitar to do it. And it wasn't universal at all. So I came out with my double raise, double lower tone changing unit. Actually, the first ZB I built had a triple raise and a triple lower. I had that facility built into it, but I discovered 2 or 3 years later that you really didn't need that, you know. So I just went back to the double raise, double lower, which it still is. And of course, that's how I got into the guitar building. And the Emmons Guitar Company wasn't even formed at that time, you know. They came out with their guitar about a year later, I think.
Right.
And then, of course, the MSA company was, they were actually building a few guitars at that time, but they didn't have anything really going for them at that time, you know. And later on, they were using the same kind of a pulling system as Sho Bud, you know. And their guitar at that time was very similar to Sho Bud. And, of course, they later developed into their MSA that they're building today, which has the basically the same tone changing unit as I put in the first 8 or 10 ZBs I built. There's one of these ZB guitars that I built for Tom Brumley that is in Ben Jack's Steel Guitar Museum in Fort Smith, Arkansas, that has this tone changing unit in it. And it was the third ZB that I built, and it's the one that Tom Brumley recorded Buck Owens' album live from Carnegie Hall, New York City.
Right. Were there any other innovations in the ZB guitar?
Well, the pickup I put on that guitar was it was completely different.
Yeah.
And, it was my own design, and I have a copyright on that design of that pickup. I don't have a patent because you can't hardly get a patent on a pickup.
Yeah.
It's pretty tough, but I've got a copyright design on that pickup, and it's more or less the humbucking type pickup, you know.
Yeah. Is that the same type as you have on BMI guitars today?
No,
Yeah.
no. I do build a pickup on special orders, you know, if somebody wants one of that nature, you know.
Yeah.
If they order it like that, I will build them, but I feel like the pickup I have on the BMI now, like you've got on yours, is the best pickup, really.
Right. When did you quit the ZB company and start BMI?
I sold the manufacturing rights and all my patents in 1960, latter part of 1968, I believe it was.
Yeah.
To a fellow by the name of Bill Sims out in Phoenix, Arizona. And of course they have the ZB factory there in Phoenix now. And I understand it's one of the top selling pedal steels in England as well as the United States. And of course Mr. Sims was in the space program, deburring business, you know.
Yeah.
I understand he's doing quite well with the ZB now, you know.
Right. When did you actually form BMI? And
well, there was a time lapse there of 5 years that I had to sign a deal with when I sold the ZB company to Mr. Sims.
yeah.
I had to sign a agreement that I wouldn't build or manufacture any pedal steel guitars for a period of 5 years.
Yeah.
So it was from 1969 which would have been about 1973.
Yeah.
Was when I came out with my BMI pedal steel. So we've been building it about 4 years now.
Right. At present, your venture with BMI is a limited production, isn't it?
It's we're one of the small custom builders. There's not too many custom pedal steel guitar builders in the United States anymore, you know.
Yeah.
And we're trying to keep it on that level and custom build these guitars because we feel like if you custom build something and for the musician personally, and of course I tune every one of these guitars up myself, you know, and check them out. I feel like I can maybe give the guy what he wants a little better, and we try to fit the knee pedals to the size of the person getting the guitar, and make the height of it the right height for him, and all these kind of things, these personal things that the professional musicians like, you know.
Right.
So we're trying to keep it on a more or less a custom basis. We don't want to get too big, although you can't stay too small.
Yeah.
And still survive in the competitive market, you know.
Yeah.
I would say there's a lot of guitar builders in the United States. It's not as big as we are, you know. Just trying to get in, break into the market, you know.
You do, though, also have a pretty good one, from what I've seen, a pretty good economy model which you build. That's the equivalent of the student models in a lot of other guitar companies.
Right. What a lot of people would call a student model guitar, we call our guitar that we sell in that price range the economy model, because our economy model has a double raised, double lower tone changing unit, and it has the same pulling apparatus and the same frame and cabinet structure as our most expensive model guitars do, and it will play just as well. The pedal action and the way it stays in tune, the sound of it will play just as well as one of our expensive model guitars. It's just a small economy model guitar that's small in size, and we offer that guitar, and we're just as a service and a promotional thing to try to entice new blood into the industry.
Yeah, that's a basic 10-string unit, isn't
It's
it?
a 10-string unit, and you can't get it with any more strings or anything, you know.
Yeah.
Although you can add more knee pedals to it, or more pedals on the floor in kit forms, you know, if you take a notice of it.
Right.
The player can do this himself. It's not that involved, you know.
Right. Do you want to talk about your actual tuning itself, the 12-string tuning?
Okay. Of course, the 12-string tuning, the way I've got it tuned is it is a E9 tuning with an added 6-string note added in the tuning, and it's very similar to the E9 Chromatic tuning, 10-string tuning that everybody is so familiar with nowadays. One of the big differences is that with my tuning, I don't have that E string tuned into my tuning back on the 8th string, like on E9 Chromatic. You've got an E note back there, you know. I don't have the E. Leave that out. I have the D note, and I pull that note up with my right knee right to the E string, but I want the E note combination, and with the same knee pedal I pull the 4th string, which is tuned to C sharp. I raise it up to an E flat, which is the same note as your 2nd string on your E9 Chromatic tuning. So when I push my right knee pedal, it pulls the my 12-string tuning into a E9 chromatic tuning, except the first 4 strings on my tuning are in proper order as far as way the notes keep progressively getting higher as you go up the tuning to the highest note in the tuning. Whereas with the E9 chromatic tuning, you play up through your 3rd string, then you have a string that's actually tuned lower to the E flat note, the 2nd string, and then of course the 1st string is even tuned lower than your 3rd string, the F sharp.
That wasn't that a development from when the 8-string tuning changed over to a 10-string tuning?
That's true. And of course I was Buddy Emmons. He put that he was the first one that put that F sharp and that E flat note on a E9 8-string tuning and added it onto it. And the first time he did it, he put it on the back side of his tuning. And he just took the 2 bass strings off of his 10-string tuning, and he put these 2 notes back there, and he recorded an album with Ray Price. And I was working for the Sho Bud Company at that time, so evidently that must have been around in 58 or 59. I want you to know these dates that I've given you could vary, because I'm just giving you the proximity of when I think they were,
Yeah.
The best I can recall.
Yeah.
But I think that was about 58 or 59 that Buddy Emmons put those 2 strings back on the back side of his tuning, and he played it like that for several months, and then he brought his guitar out to the Sho Bud factory, and I was the guy that took the notes, the 2 strings off of the back of his tuning and put them up on the front, and I had to move all of his pedals over on his E9 tuning all over 2 strings, so they would be pulling the right strings.
Right. With your own tuning, back to your own tuning, you've got an extended bass range. You've got I think it's about 3 lower bass notes than the normal E9, is that right?
Yes, that's true. The range of my tuning is, for guys that's familiar with C6, the range of the C6 tuning like they use now with the low C note and the high G string. My tuning has a high G sharp note, which is one fret higher than your high string on C6, and I have a low B note, which is 1 fret lower than your lowest C note on your C6 tuning. So that's the range of the tuning I play.
Yeah. You can also get within in essence, your tuning is a universal tuning, isn't it? You can get both the C6 sounds and the E9 within the one tuning.
That's true. I can play virtually any chord that the guys can play on the C6 tuning, on this tuning that I use. And also I can play anything that they play. I'm not saying I can execute and play maybe some of the stuff that some of the other players play, but what I'm saying is that it's on the guitar and the tunings. It is available if the player is capable of getting it.
Right.
I'm not saying that I can do it,
As you said before, by using the right knee right, you can put it into an E9 tuning. The actual layout of the ordinary tuning, have you got another pedal which puts it into more of a C6 configuration?
Right. Push your left knee left, and it throws it into a B6.
B6.
Yeah, instead of C6. And of course, I play out of that quite a bit too, And then you can push your up pedal and your number 2 pedal on the floor, and it'll throw it into a D6 tuning. D like a dog.
Right. Are there any other things you can think about the tuning which are interesting?
Well, Well, you push your second and third pedal, you know, and like you're playing in E open.
Yeah.
And move up 2 frets to your F sharp position, and you will have a chord that's similar to the C6 tuning. When you push the pedal, it raises the C's to B's. When you push the pedal on C6, it raises the C notes to B's. You've got that same chord.
Raises them to C's to B's.
Yeah, on C6. But on my tuning, when you're like just playing on the second fret,
yeah,
you would have an E major 7th chromatic chord, you know.
This is just the second and third pedals, is it? Or
right, the second, third pedals.
Alone.
And then you play from about the 9th string forward. You play 9 strings of that chord, I believe it is, you know.
But did you say C to D as in dog, or C to B lowering, is it? Or am I getting it mixed up?
No, see, on your C6 tuning, most of the guys on there, you know, raise the B's to C's.
B's to C's.
No, wait a minute.
No. A's to B's. A's to B's.
Right. Yeah. A's to B's.
Yeah.
The major 7.
Right.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, they raise the A's to B's.
Yeah.
With that first pedal, you know.
Right.
And that pulls it into a major 7th.
Right.
You know, on the C6 tuning. I think I told you C's to B's, didn't I?
Yeah.
Right. I'm glad you corrected me on that.
Right.
Yeah. That's a chord that when you push pedal 2 and 3.
Yeah.
On mine, that you would have that same chord at 2 frets up above whatever key you're playing in.
Right. Right. Now it's.
And I play out of that position an awful lot too.
Right. Right. But stylistically today, the way that you play, who are your major influences? Who do you like listening to?
Now?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I like. There's a lot of steel players. I like Paul Franklin and Mike Smith. I like Hal Rugg. I like Curly Chalker. Julian Thorpe, Buddy Emmons, Doug Jernigan, Donnie Buzzard. I like Randy Beaver's playing. Randy's a fine steel player. And of course there's lots more, you know, that I like.
Yep. When a person listens to your music, sorry?
Let's don't forget Maurice Anderson.
Maurice Anderson, right.
Yeah.
When one listens to your music, there's a very cool sort of jazz influence. That how do you sort of where do you see the influences coming from here? Is it?
Well, I'd have to say that I was influenced back in the early days, you know, in the 50s.
Yeah.
By a steel guitar player by the name of Ray Noren.
Oh, the original chapter, right?
Yeah, the guy that I learned to play from, and he and I were practically raised up together, you know. And he's one of the greatest jazz guitar players of all time, you know. And I was influenced by him.
Right. And how about Ray Noren today? I believe he's not playing steel anymore.
No, Ray got a rare eye disease, and he had to quit playing steel because the doctors told him that if he kept playing it, it was going to cause him to lose his eyesight completely. So he quit playing steel. He's playing bass now with some fine jazz groups, you know. And I think last account I had of him is in New York City.
Right. Have you got any just general sort of comments you'd like to make about steel guitar today, or playing in general? Anything you can think of?
Well, about the only thing that I can think of is of course, everybody knows that the pedal steel guitar in the last, say, the last 15 years has really took off, you know, and it's developed, man, at a fantastic pace. And I'm really enthused about the way that some of these guys are playing the steel guitars nowadays, you know.
Yeah.
And especially some of the younger guys, guitar has any limitations. And of course, me being one of the older players, you know, I used to think that it was a very limited instrument, you know.
Yeah.
And of course, that's what got me to fooling with the pedals in it in the first place, was trying to alleviate some of the limitations of the pedal steel, you know, and get it to be an instrument to where you could play more on it, and where it wouldn't be so limited. And some of these young guys coming up, I have to admire them, because they don't seem to realize or think that there's any limitations at all to them, you know. And I'm beginning to think that that kind of thinking is really good. It's good positive thinking, and if a person doesn't realize that an instrument has limitations, therefore he's more apt to play more stuff on it, you know, and get more out of the instrument.
Right.
In that frame of mind, you know.
Right. Well, thank you very much, and I reckon that makes a pretty good interview.
Well, thank you.